Hey, welcome back. Art of Cycling, or Art of Art, although I am wearing a cycling hat. So it's Greg Leach, and we're back in the studio working with the oil sticks, working on another painting. I got a little hot there and took off my jacket. Um, Working on this painting that's inspired by the title of Picasso's painting, Nude Descending the Staircase. And I've talked about already with Bridget using the stair chair. So we worked with her coming down the stairs. And every time we go up, or particularly when she goes up, the dogs go up with her and come back down with her, and go back up with her. So the dog lower down, the black and white, is Pippin, our dachshund, who's a rescue. We didn't set out to get a purebred. And so is Cleo there, who's a Schmaushund. She was a rescue as well. So now I thought I'd come in close and let you get, as I work on the face. And first off, I'm not happy with the color of the, what is in fact the trim around the window on the landing of the stairs. So I'm trying to turn it a little red, not happy with the way that red's performing. So I think I end up trying another one and then finally open a new one. But this painting right now ranges from yellow to orange, and with Pippin in there from blue to purple. But Bridget's got on a green dress. So we need a little bit of red to balance that out. So I think I'm still not happy with the red here, and go and open another one. And we have a large collection of paintings, full stop, but a number on our stairwell. In fact, on the part you can't see when you walk in the house, we've started hanging paintings. Before much longer, we're going to be hanging them on the ceiling, I think. But here now we finally got the new red going. And it's a subtle difference, which is what I wanted. But it's more red, and now I'm going to come in and start working on her. Of course, obviously the legs were done a while ago, but I wanted to work on the arm, chest, and face. So laying in first what will be the shadow underside of her arm, where it makes contact with the armrest, and of course the shadow up under her chin and on the neck. So right now I'm using the oxine purple, and then right now I'm using the alizarin crimson, the new one that isn't as dark, the new recipe. And then of course the highlights using the yellow. And so on the décolletage as well. And then I think the yellow wasn't behaving right, so I peeled off a little bit more. Or no, that's the white. Sorry, you can't see what's in my hand. And laying a little orange. So that's sort of the mid-tone of the flesh tone. And of course that orange is one of the two main muscles, and then the little bit of red. So you get a gradation, and now I'm picking up the white and blending that through, trying to get a clean line. That's one of the things you'll run into, particularly now that I'm using these RF whites, is the texture, which is wonderful. But also, where the colors abut, sometimes the texture interferes, and I end up, because there's raised surface on one side and the paper, of course, is lower down, I end up picking up zips of color in the wrong place. So now I've switched. I'm still using that original white. Check it, make sure it's not going to drag the wrong color, but now I go and grab my cool white color, the one that I use in the darker, cooler colors, and sort of blend that through into her fingers. The chair is controlled by a little toggle switch that's on the other side of her hand. And that's the kind of detail, just like fingernails, that really isn't important in this case. So I feel good about the arm, and now we'll move up into the neck. And now I'll start laying in some of the cools, actually the nose. Go look at Elmer Bischoff and you'll find out why I frequently do this red nose. Now, in his paintings, they really are like red check marks. And that I kind of did that for a while early on. Always look at other artists. See what they're doing. Feel perfectly free to lift those ideas because it will eventually become your own vocabulary. Sometimes that red nose I leave, particularly when I'm doing bar scenes, the quintessential red-nosed drunk. Bridget, of course, is not a red-nosed drunk. She's a red-cheeked Irish lass. So laying in the dark of the eyes, both the pupil and iris, and then over the lid, which, the lid itself, because that plane gets a fair amount of light, depending on how deeply recessed your eyes are, and Bridget's are not. And then, of course, under the eye is dark, and sometimes you have those dark purple circles under your eyes. So just working on that, and then a little bit of the shadow in the corner where and then I'll use that to drag and get the underlid. Sorry, I can't see what my hand's doing either. So now working across the brow, across the top, and now on into the forehead. So using the yellow to pick up some of that red, blend it across. And these strokes are following the shape of the forehead, so the arch of the brow. And then coming down around her widow's peak. And I think I had a little schmutz in there. And that's the thing, always look at the oil stick, because if you pick up the wrong color, you could end up with a muddied section. And that's a delicate balancing act. You don't want to be too precise. You want some. Mistakes are good. That's how I'm just trying to get the nose right. So you can see I've softened it with the white oil stick. And now that into the bridge of the nose as it transitions into the cheek and up under the eye, across the orbital cavity. And you got to think of it as planulars, where light striking, where is shadow, and then you're using, so I'm using yellow as my lightest, of course, even mixed with white. And then to red is the darkest of the warm colors, and then back around again. Of course, sometimes I don't bother with the mouth. It's not necessary, but I decided, and of course, that's off-centered. So now she's got kind of a weird little smirk going, but don't worry, I fix it. I actually struggle a little bit with this mouth. And of course the area beneath the nose, the upper lip. Of course, that's too strong. So soften that purple very quickly. Sorry, I got a mosquito bugging me there. I got him. Bleh. gotten me already. Obviously, you didn't see that. So, getting to where like the nose is a bit bent right now, but we'll work on that. Oh, look, another mosquito showed up. Well, again, you can't see him. I do have the door to my studio open, and it is twilight. It's going to get cold enough to get rid of these guys finally. So, because I'm sitting in the studio, I know I eventually got this nose right, but it definitely looks crooked. I'm the one who has broke my nose at one point. Actually, I had it broken for me. Got beat up as a kid by a bunch of people. Bridget's never broken her nose. So, but now working through the face, and this by working on the cheek and that area coming down across, I've softened that area that I wasn't happy with, and now I've gotten the lips in a better position. Nice light striking, and then see her chin got that little flick of my hand was actually taking away some of the yellow that got into the purple of the wall behind her. Maybe when I do the close-up, we'll be able to see that, because I just left it with the finger swipe. Lightening that lower lip. And then trying to get that little bit of the shadow under the lip. I think I had that, and then with this, kind of let it go. Now into her hair. We're both in our gray hair phase of our life. Hers is much darker than mine, though. And this, of course, is the phthalo blue, white, and then I'm going to go, oops, and pull in a little of the deoxing purple again. I think that's what that is right there. So sort of going back and forth. And then because that area of the windowsill is like everything's wet right now, so we kind of pull those colors through. And actually, when I walked into the studio today, I did not expect to finish this painting. You know, some days, I mean, there admittedly wasn't a lot to do, but anxious to finish it, so I I was anxious to work on it, and then once you start working, you end up finishing. So there's sort of pulling the hair back across her neck, up over her shoulder, letting it come forward, and then sort of it's ambiguous as to the shade of her neck versus the hair. Long ago, I had an instructor who said there should be many areas where one object melds into the other. I think Cleo does that quite well going down the stairs. So working back into the forehead just a little bit. And yeah, I think that's about it. I just wanted to give you a chance to be able to see me work a little closer than that full shot. And of course, took a break, went in, we talked about a title, and it is, she has her ups and downs. which is quite the description of Bridget's physical reality for the last couple of years. And, who doesn't love a pun? And of course, I don't know if I'll get this up on the date I completed it, but I did complete it on the 8th. So that's, obviously I've been working on this for 2 or 3 weeks, but I always title them on the finished day. And then I thought I'd give you sort of that long view and then come in tight, let you see what the painting really looks like up close. So you can see that little purple switch under the chin, just the way that bleeds, and you can see how thick the texture is, and even the flat area of color. And there you can kind of see what I was talking about with the textured intersection lines. And good old Cleo. Of course, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'd love to know what you think. And so please leave a comment. I try to answer everybody. And be sure to subscribe so you know what happens next. Because at this particular moment, I don't know what happens next. So thank you all so much. And get in your studio or your room or wherever and make some art and have fun doing it. Thank you.